Congressman Adam Schiff is a Democrat of California, led the first impeachment of Donald Trump, served on the January 6th committee, currently a candidate for Senate in 2024, and he joins me now. Congressman is someone who has sought after, pursued some form of legal accountability for the president. Your reaction to us being at a moment where this is actually happening?
Well, it's a historic and unprecedented day. Sad to see the office of the presidency brought so low. But it is accountability catching up with Donald Trump. And I think it's an affirmation of the principle that no one is above the law, not the president of the United States, not anyone who's rich and powerful, that ultimately you follow the evidence to where it leads. If there's probable cause to believe a crime has been committed and the grand jury in Manhattan found there was, and the prosecutor believes they can prove beyond reasonable doubt, then they face justice. Donald Trump will face justice, and I think that is as it should be.
I want to read to you an op-ed that got quite a bit of attention this weekend by a former prosecutor making the argument that this all sets a bad precedent, was the thrust of the contention. I want to read this paragraph and get your response as someone who served as a prosecutor yourself prior to joining Congress. Every local prosecutor in the country will now feel that he or she has free rein to criminally investigate and prosecute presidents after they leave office. Democrats currently cheering the charges against Trump may feel differently if or when a Democrat, perhaps even President Biden, ends up on the receiving end of a similar effort by any of the thousands of prosecutors elected to local office. What do you think of that argument?
We see variations of this over the last several years, which is if you do the right thing, that is, hold someone accountable for the right reasons, does it set a precedent that can be abused for the wrong reasons? And yes, things can always be abused for the wrong reasons, but the more dangerous precedent to set here would be to do nothing, would be to essentially say, if you're the president of the United States, you don't get held accountable. You can do what you like. You can violate the law with impunity. That's the far more dangerous precedent here. The author of that article also makes the point that he believes that Joe Biden should have weighed in and essentially got the Manhattan DA, the Fulton County DA, and the Justice Department to coordinate their efforts and the order of accountability. Can you imagine what would happen if the President of the United States involved himself in a prosecution of one of his potential opponents? I don't agree with that at all. And while I certainly do agree that the Justice Department took way too long, and it would have been much more desirable for the most serious case to go first, if indeed the Justice Department ends up moving forward with charges, that's not the responsibility or the fault of the Manhattan DA. That Manhattan DA followed the evidence to where it led. When the case was ready, it was presented to the grand jury. That's as it should be, even though I wish the Department of Justice had moved with a greater sense of urgency, and that case proceeded far before now.
There's been reporting that the ex-president has been calling congressional allies, and of course it's his allies that run the United States House of Representatives, urging them basically to do two things, as far as I can read the reporting. One is to tighten the screws on Bragg by any means they can, investigate the Manhattan district attorney, subpoena him, whatever. And the other is to tighten the screws on Joe Biden, the president's family, Hunter Biden, to accelerate that stuff. What do you make of those reports?
Well, I don't know whether it's accurate that the Trump people have given those marching orders to Republicans in Congress. I'm not sure they needed to. During the Ukraine investigation, Jim Jordan and others, they already acted like the criminal defense lawyers for Donald Trump, and they're doing it again. Whether Jim Jordan and Kevin McCarthy needed prodding or not, I don't know. But they have already been writing to the Manhattan DA, demanding evidence, threatening essentially implicitly that they'll be subpoenaed if they don't comply. They are acting like they're going to use the power of Congress to do criminal discovery, something that, the lawyers for Trump, he already has criminal defense lawyers, probably, perfectly good ones. He doesn't need members of Congress to do that. But it is deeply concerning that Congress would try to interfere in the administration of justice. I serve on that Judiciary Committee now. Well, when I was removed from the Intel Committee, I was put in a senior position on the Judiciary Committee, and you can better believe I'm going to use my position on that committee to fight against these efforts to undermine the rule of law, because that's exactly what they're trying to do here.
All right, Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you very much.